Ocean acidification is a rising environmental issue in the world. The normal pH of the ocean is 8.2, but it is expected to drop to 8.1 due to the ocean becoming more acidic. Since the ocean is one of the world's largest carbon sinks, it absorbs more than 1 million metric tons of CO2 every hour, every single day. Additional CO2 being released into the atmosphere and then into the ocean from human-made pollution than what the ocean already dissolves is increasing the hydrogen ion concentration. When an excessive amount of hydrogen ions is released into the ocean, along with the absorption of excess atmospheric CO2, this causes the ocean to become more acidic and also tips the buffering system of the ocean. The buffering system is what regulates the pH of the seawater and will also allow seawater to be more resistant to changes in pH than freshwater is. When the buffering system is tampered with, it can create problems for not only humans but also marine life. If we blow into distilled and salt water, then the distilled water will change colors first rather than the salt water, since fresh water is not as resistant to changes in pH. In this case, that's adding CO2 to the waters by blowing into them. If we put carbonate into distilled and salt water, then the salt water will change colors faster due to an excess amount of hydrogen ions that tip the buffering system.
The materials needed for this lab included 5 drops of universal indicator, 10 milliliters of ocean water, 10 milliliters of distilled water, a straw, and zero point 0.1 grams of calcium carbonate.
Now to begin the procedure. Using a straw, Desiree slowly breathes carbon dioxide into the test tube containing ocean water. Meanwhile, someone else in the group is timing how long it takes for the pH to change, which is demonstrated by the color change in the water. The same process is repeated for the distilled water. We then recorded the change in the pH for each type of water. In both of these situations, the change in pH or the change in color depends on the amount of carbon dioxide put into the waters. In this step, we now add calcium carbonate to each of the test tubes. You can see after adding the calcium carbonate, each color or pH of the waters begins to slowly change. In this situation, the change in pH or the change in color depends on how much calcium carbonate is put into the water.
The original pH of the distilled water was 5. After we blew into the straw, the color changed from light yellow to red in 5.83 seconds. The pH then went down from 5 to 2. The original pH of the ocean water was 12. After we blew into the straw, the color changed from blue to light yellow in 12.44 seconds. The pH then went down from 12 to 4. After adding the chalk to the distilled water, the color changed from red to orange in about 9 seconds, and the pH went down to 2. And after adding chalk to the salt water, the color changed from light yellow to green in about 12 seconds, and the pH went down to 6.
Our hypothesis was right to some extent, but lacked some contextual ideas, and our reasoning behind our hypothesis was a little faulty. The pH of our ocean water did not match that of the actual oceans, but this could be due to the fact that it has been away from the ocean for a while and isn't exposed to everything that the actual ocean water is. The highest pH was found before carbon dioxide and calcium carbonate were added, and the lowest was found after calcium carbonate and carbon dioxide were added. When we blew into the straw, both the distilled and ocean water did change colors, but this was due to the lowering of pH. The distilled water's pH lowered faster because it was less resistant to the carbon dioxide that we were releasing. The ocean's water pH eventually did drop, but did it slower due to its natural buffering system. When we inserted the calcium carbonate into both waters, the pH decreased because calcium bonded with carbonate ions, which left an excessive amount of hydrogen ions in the water, which led to increased acidity in both. The ocean water's buffering system was tipped due to the excess hydrogen. A few errors that could have happened in the lab was adding inconsistent amounts of calcium carbonate or continuing to breathe after the timer stopped, or even stopping breathing before the timer stops. Also, an error that could have been made was misreading the pH levels.
We interviewed two groups on their findings from the lab and looked at how their findings compared and contrasted with ours. For the first group, the original pH of the distilled water was 4, and after they added the carbon dioxide, the pH went to 2. It took 4.65 seconds for their distilled water to change colors. So we both found that the pH of the distilled water decreased afterwards, becoming more acidic, and took about 5 seconds to change colors. The original pH of the ocean water was 10, and after they added the carbon dioxide, the pH went to 5. It took 5.22 seconds for it to change colors. The ocean water became more acidic after adding carbon dioxide in both of our findings. However, one difference was that our group's ocean water took 12.44 seconds to change, while their group's only took 5.22 seconds to change. For the second group, the original pH of the distilled water was 5, and after they added their carbon dioxide, the pH went down to 1. It took 4.04 seconds for it to change colors. We both found that the original pH of the distilled water was 5 and became more acidic after adding in the carbon dioxide. Ours took almost 2 seconds longer to change colors. The original pH of the ocean water was 10, and after adding in their carbon dioxide, it went down to 4. It took 12.01 seconds for their ocean water to change. So with this, we both found it took about 12 seconds for the color to change and it to have a significant drop in the pH. There was also a difference in our findings. While our group's ocean water changed to green and distilled water changed to orange after adding in the calcium carbonate, or chalk, their group's ocean water changed to dark blue and their distilled water changed to a bluish purple color.